We got a perch working the tip down right here. Now this is that tandem setup. You can see he's bouncing this right now. 1/2-inch bell sinker on the bottom, 2 number 4 hooks above it. He's been on here the whole time we were walking across here. So just set, move it to the side, and then hand line him right up for me if you would. Okay, buddy. Keep it right in the center of the hole. Good job. Good job. Feel good?
Yeah, good size.
Oh, look at this. Beauty. Look at that perch. Look at that perch. That is a dandy. Now, he didn't ingest like some of the perch have today. He's hooked, you can see right there through the upper lip. But look at, like we talked about, double hooking that minnow. Look at how chewed up that minnow is right there. He's working it and working it and working it, trying to get that bait. And that's why you want to double thread that on to make sure that they absolutely have to commit before they get in there. Now he's right through the upper lip. Let me just get that in there. Let's see if I can get his mouth open here a little bit. Put your thumb right in there. Show that sideways right to Chris on the camera. That is a dandy perch, and he's real advanced there. And testament to double hooking those baits. And let's take a look at the size of the minnow. You can see if we were running a fathead minnow on just a regular jig, it'd be 1/3 of that size or half that size. We want to run that bait a little bit bigger because, as we mentioned, when we're organizing this and we're getting everything prepared to fish, we want to make sure that we run a bait that's just a little bit larger. And the reason that we want it larger is that we're jigging with 15, 18 guys out here today. So you're going to catch all different size class on those baits. But when the tip downs go down, you want to make sure that that's a good one. So run a little bit larger bait. What we like to do is bass minnows or walleye size bait. And then when that big perch gets on and ingests it, it's going to work out perfect. Good job, brother. Cool. Here's a dandy.
Yeah.
We've had a couple perch hit our smaller tip downs. We've got a tandem rig with a weight on the bottom here. My buddy Bob Williams fishes with us in blue water. He's here, and you can see on the tip here, this tip down was up in this position, but you can see that perch. He's pulling it down a little bit. He's on there, Bob. Set the hook, set it to the side, and we'll hand line him in, okay? Okay, set that to the side. Get right over the top of the hole. Let's bring this fish, pay the line right out there where it's not going to get in your way. Okay, let's get him right out of the hole here. Beautiful perch. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful jumbo perch, Bob. And the nice part about that particular fish right there is, let's take a look right down. Look how far he's ingested that bait, right down into his gullet. That's what you want. And that's the difference. When fish are active, you can run a weight on the bottom with a tandem rig, and they'll pick it up and drag it. But later in the season, when big females are coming in to spawn, you got to run a single hook on the bottom with the weight above, so that when they pick that bait up and they swim away from the hole, they don't feel that pressure. If it's late in the season and you're on a fickle bite and they pick up a tandem rig with a bell sinker on the bottom, they'll swim, and as soon as they feel that sinker drag, they'll just let that thing go out of their mouth, and you'll have short strikes all day and you won't get fish. When that starts to happen, go to your smaller tip downs, go to a little bit lighter line, go to a single hook on the bottom with the weight above, so that when the fish picks it up, he can swim away from the hole. That's your tip from the Hard Water Ice Guides. Catching good perch here on the shores of Lake Ontario. Nice job, Bob. Good going, buddy boy. Hi everybody, Captain Bill Saiff III. We're talking tip downs today in this video, and I've got 2 different setups here on the table here in the lodge that I want to show you, that both work extremely well on yellow perch, but are set up completely different. This is the base model, and you'll notice that it's heavy metal, it's stout wood, the base is easily collapsible. I like these because they're durable. You can take 10 combinations like this, put them in a 5-gallon or a 6-gallon bucket, and have everything that you need all in one spot. When we're setting this tip down, this is the conventional setup that we use. I'm going to raise the holder up out of the base. I'm going to tighten it with this wing nut on the side, and this rod is going to balance in this fashion. Now, how do we set this up? This is rigged with 17-pound tests Cajun red with 6-pound test droppers and number four hooks. Now down here at the business end, if you go right in here tight, you can see we got just a little snap swivel here and a 3/4 ounce bell sinker, and I've double wrapped a rubber band, and that holds that in place. So if we pull that rubber band off, now that's completely free. Now when we set this in position, I'll do it here on the table so that you can see, and that weight hits bottom, you can see that that's in the tip down setup. As a perch comes in and he picks up a minnow, either one of these two minnows, the slightest movement is going to make that tip down. If you look out on the ice and you see it in this position, you know you've got a fish on. They also come with a couple rubber grommets and a metal washer, which will allow you to slide it up and down the shank of the rod to change the balance point depending on how heavy the weight is on your rod. Now, why do we run this dual setup? Let's take a look at this. And you'll notice, for ease of transportation, all I've done here on these hooks is put a little piece of pipe insulation. It keeps everything untangled, and it's all in proper working order as it's being stored. So you've got 2 minnows hooked here with the weight on the bottom. When perch are aggressive, this double setup is fantastic to use because a lot of times you'll get 2 perch. They're aggressive, they'll pick this up, they'll get this minnow here, and they'll start to move away, and they're dragging that weight on bottom, and you can see the tip down that starts to go down. An aggressive perch doesn't care if he's pulling that weight. This activity, as he's working this and the movement of this bait, many times a second perch or a third perch will come in and start to fight over this bait, and consequently, you'll get doubles. So on an active perch bite, running a tandem rig with a bell sinker on the bottom is the fastest, easiest, and most productive way to catch these yellow perch. Let's take this down, we'll move this out of the side, and we'll show you rig number 2. Rig number 2 is a horse of a different color. On this rig, we have a single hook on a dropper, lighter line. The single hook is going to handle 1 minnow at a time, double hooked. And you can see here that we've got about a 10-12 inch dropper from this number 4 hook up to a barrel swivel, which is tied in line here. Now we've got a willow leaf blade up here in different colors, so if there's current down there, that's gonna flip around, and that's gonna give you added attraction as these perch come in and try to bite this. Now what do we use for weight to get this down on the bottom? Those 2 pink beads that you see right there are weighted steelhead beads, and that will help take it down. When we get on location and we bait this up, what I do is I pinch a depth sounder onto this hook. I'll pinch it onto this hook and I'll drop it down, free spool my reel, the line comes out, it goes down and hits. Once it hits bottom and I know I'm in the proper position, I'll raise it 2 or 3 inches, tighten it, and then I'll hand line that fishing line back up through the hole, bait the minnow, drop it back down, and let the weight of the steelhead beads take this down and into position. Now, if we come in on the tip of this tip down, we're in position, and this thing is set up on the ice, and you can see just the slightest tug on that line is going to make that tip down react. You get a good perch on there, boom, it goes right down into the tip down position. You look out, you see this orange up on the ice, and you know that you've got a fish on. When and where do we use the secondary setup with a single hook? When the fish come in late in the season and they're getting ready to spawn, a lot of times those big females are picky and they're fickle in the bite. If they pick a minnow up and start to swim away with it and feel the weight of that sinker on the bottom, they'll spit that bait out and they won't ingest it. So by going with a single hook hanging down, watch what happens. Perch comes in here on the bottom, he picks this hook up, he starts to swim with it. There's very, very little resistance. He moves way out here 2 or 3 feet off to the side under the hole, and he gobbles that minnow, completely ingests it. Boom, now we're in the tip down fashion. We caught that perch where if he was trying to drag that bell sinker across the bottom, he might drop it and leave that bait and consequently not get hooked. So the big tip down with a double hook setup, if we're on aggressive fish, if we find that it's a fickle bite late in the season, going with a free floating single hook with no weight on the bottom is the way to capitalize on those fish that are on a more fickle bite. Two different types of tip down setups, two different ways to take yellow perch, two different ways that are going to be extremely effective for you as an angler once you've identified the type of yellow perch and the attitude of the yellow perch that you're fishing. Let's go back to the ice right now. We've already taken a look at a couple fish that have come in on a weighted tandem rig. Let's see how the single free floating rig works on perch on the eastern end of Lake Ontario. We got a tip down here and we got a tip down over here on the backside, Joe. Let's see if we can get this one. What I want you to do here is get right down on the small tip down, set the hook, set it aside, and then just hand line it in, okay? Go ahead and feel for him. You there? Okay, there you go. Go ahead and hand line him right in. Bring him right up.
That's a big boy.
Bring him right up. Okay, good perch. Good perch. Here's a perfect example of a tip down perch. And even though we got a long shank number 4 hook on that, you can't even see the eyelet of the hook. Get right in on that tight, Chris, and look, you can't even see the eyelet of the hook on that because it's ingested so tight. So here, take it.
Oh yeah.
Hit him, hit him. Okay, hand line, let's go. Put it down, hand line. Right dead center of it. Keep coming. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Nice.
Beauty. Nice. That's a beautiful perch.
And we got our bait back.
That's a beautiful perch right there, guys. Come on right in here, Chris. Take a close look. You're too far away and you can't hear me, baby. This is it. There's that number 4. That's the one we rehooked where we broke that. Nice big jumbo perch. He didn't get it ingested, but he definitely came in to take that bait. Let me show you what we're doing with this minnow. This particular minnow is a fathead, but the key when you're running these tip downs, you'll see what I've done with this minnow is I've driven the hook in behind the head, and then I push it through and come through the body, lower in the minnow, right here, until that point is exposed right there, and then I slide the minnow up the hook. So that fish has to come in and he has to ingest that entire hook in this fashion. Of course, you can see that number 4 hook and it's got a long shank. That helps you, once that gets ingested, it helps you get a hold of that hook and get that fish off the line. But the perch has to sit there and he has to work that bait in order to get that completely in his mouth. So generally, when they do that, you're gonna find that you get a little bit larger perch. This one's medium to large. We're gonna catch some big whales on these tip downs today. Perfect. All right. And now we hand lined it, so we know it's at exactly the right depth. So all we have to do is drop it back on the pedestal and hold it in that position. Next time it goes down, hopefully we'll have another striper.